Hello surfers out there, back again, and today I'm with a special guest. I'm with Gail from Cooking It with Gail. She has a YouTube channel, so you should check that out after you watch this video. Cruise over there, it's a newer channel, has a handful of videos, and it's actually has a combination of things going on. So it's Gail's surfing adventures and experiences, but it's also a few other things going on in terms of Gail's travels and just things in the world, right?
Right, that's correct.
So, Gail, how long have you been surfing?
I started surfing probably about 1.5 years ago when I first moved to San Diego.
Okay. So, how did you get introduced to surfing?
Well, it's a long story. I grew up in Sacramento, which really isn't known for like its surfing. It's more for its rafting. Not that I'm a great rafter or anything, but I've always promised myself if I moved down to San Diego or anywhere in Southern California that I would definitely start surfing. So.
Okay, so so you moved to San Diego, but like you just walked down to the beach and jumped in the water, started surfing. Like, how did you get involved in surfing?
No, I didn't. I wasn't that silly. But anyway, my neighbor, she did some surfing, and she took me out there, and yeah, I had a great time the first time.
Cool. So you're a neighbor, right on. So she was willing to take you out there and spend the time to get you started and get you going?
Okay, she wasn't that silly. I mean, she literally had like a little surf ball. It's like a little gymnastic ball. So she showed me like, okay, this is how you pop up on the ball. And did a couple of exercises with me, and then took me out.
Okay, and do you want to give her a shout out? What's her name? Who she is?
Yeah, her name is Liz. I'm not going to say her last name because she has a little bit to do with the public, but definitely her name is Liz. Okay. Thanks, Liz.
Yeah, right on. So, where have you been surfing the most? Since in your 1.5 years, where have you been surfing?
I'd have to say I like to go surfing at Oceanside Pier, the south side. That's where I learned at. I feel like that's home, more comfortable. I'm more familiar with that surf, especially the impact zone. Okay. So, yeah.
And so, close to the pier, far down from the pier, where?
No, pretty much when I started, I felt almost like on the beach. So, you know,
okay,
now I'm a little bit further out, so getting closer to the outside.
Yeah, but I mean, south of the pier?
Oh, south of the pier, yeah.
But close to the pier or
to
farther south of the pier?
No, close to the pier.
Okay, so it's crowded there.
Yes, it is.
So, has it been easy to surf there with a lot of people as you're learning, or?
I would say as long as I don't go too far out on the outside,
I see. Okay.
then it's pretty safe, yeah.
All right, cool. And so, how many surfboards do you have?
Well, now, I mean, I started with the one from Costco, and then I advanced up. Some people even let me, you know, use their boards and things like that. So right now, personally, I have 3 boards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Including the soft top.
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool. And so, out of the 3 boards you have, which board is the one that you're surfing the most these days?
I'm surfing Johnny. I call him Johnny because yeah, he's my favorite. He had a couple of dings. It's from a friend of mine that works at Trader Joe's.
Okay.
Hi, Mike.
Right on, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, thanks.
Right.
Yeah. And so he lent me that board. We fixed the dings on it, so I kind of did a little bit of that with him. And I would say I like to surf it because it's comfortable. It's 9 feet.
Okay.
I feel I feel like I have, you know, a lot of room to pop up as a beginner.
Okay. That makes it easier to get
up.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it has a little bit of character with the dings on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love Johnny.
Right.
He's my favorite.
So Johnny came with dings, or you added dings, or?
I added dings.
You added dings.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of skills, surfing skills, what are you working on right now? After 1.5 years, you've been doing this for a little while. What are some of the things that you're, you know, hoping to improve on, or that you're trying to be conscious of it when you go surfing?
Okay, I would have to be honest with you, since I, you know, just went out there and kind of threw my board in the water and didn't do a lot of research.
Okay.
I would say that I definitely have to practice everything. For me, paddling out is still a huge struggle, depending on, you know, the currents. Definitely popping up, depending on the board size. On Johnny, of course, I have more room to pop up. So,
yeah, so
you know,
pop up.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you're working on that. So, well, that's super awesome. I mean, I appreciate, Gail, you coming down today and helping me get an interview with somebody who's learning to surf. Always look for different perspectives, different surfers. I mean, there's so many different surfers in the world. coming from so many different backgrounds, different skill levels, different board types, and so I'm always trying to get, find out what's going on in the world other than from, my perspective per se. And, with that said, I'd like to go ahead and talk to you about some of the other things going on in the surf world right now, some of the current events,
Okay.
and, get your perspective on that. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, because I think all the pro surfers out there and people who have been surfing for a long time, I'm sure, there's probably a lot of agreement on certain issues or understanding, but yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun to talk about this stuff with you. So I'm going to move on to probably the biggest thing in the news right now. It's a surfing event that's going to start tomorrow. I'm sure you're all aware of what's going on.
Of course not.
Okay. So tomorrow is going to be what they call the Freshwater Pro. And that is at a wave pool in Fresno-ish, California.
Oh.
And it's, a machine runs it. I don't know, have you seen anything about this wave pool or heard anything?
I've seen wave pools before, but I haven't seen this specific one in Fresno.
Okay, cool. So this one's put on, Kelly Slater is behind this one, and World Surf League, who is the sanctioning body of competitive surfing. So basically tomorrow, all the pros are going to come from around the world and descend upon this small little farm town in the middle of nowhere.
I'm sorry to break you off like that, but I was like, Fresno is like super hot and
Yeah.
everything until you said, yeah.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to go there about a year ago to witness their first event, which they call the Founders Cup. So they've had several events. Each time they have an event, they change the name, or they,
okay.
so far. And it's really a place where they're kind of just working out the bugs, trying this thing out, getting the technology up, and off the ground. So Fresno is probably a very easy place, or up in that area for them. It's actually Lemoore is where it's at.
Oh, okay.
But it's probably an easy place for them to kind of get this thing moving without a lot of red tape and so forth. But what you mentioned, yes, hot. It's very far.
Yes.
When I was there, I had the basic entry ticket, and WSL didn't give me any special access. So I was in there with the regular people out there, and the porta potties were hot. Oh my gosh!
I can just imagine.
Yeah. So I've been to some places where they actually have like really high tech porta potties. You're like, ooh, wow, AC, and these ones were. I mean, you were dying in the porta potty. So yes, super hot. There's a bunch of jokes about all the different challenges over there. So you haven't heard about it though.
No, I haven't.
Okay, cool. Well, it's going to start tomorrow. So for everybody out there, hopefully this video is out by tomorrow. It's going to be on worldsurfleague.com. You can also find them on Facebook. They tend to put their live webcast of the event on
awesome.
Facebook.
Oh,
so
awesome.
yeah, so I think you should check it out. It's going to be
Definitely.
super good. It's going to be men and women, both competing, and it's a really long wave. It's a really good wave, great wave. Word on the street is that they're going to take it off tour though next year.
What does that mean, off tour? I mean, take the machine and move it somewhere to a different location? Or?
No, off tour means every year there's X amount of events that all the pros try to attend and compete in, and at the end of the year, whoever wins the most points is the champion of the season. So when I say the tour, I'm talking about the season of events in a particular season. So it's not going to be in the season schedule for 2020. Supposedly. They might change their mind. If they do, don't blame me. Blame BeachGrit. They're somebody I'm getting the information from right now. So BeachGrit, you better have your facts straight. Out of the pros, who are some of your? Have you had a chance to look? You've only been doing this for a year and a half. So
yes.
Have you spent any time watching any videos? Are there certain pros, men or women that you've been, you've had an opportunity to see and were impressed by?
Yeah, I'd have to say I, was introduced to Kelly Slater for sure. Next Generation, I watched that. That was really a great, awesome movie.
Momentum Generation,
excuse me.
Cooking it with Gail. Check out the channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to just.
Because I was like, wait, is there something I don't know?
Yeah, exactly. So
I was going to act like I knew what you were talking about.
Exactly, but you can overplay that one. Yeah. Understood.
So momentum generation. Yeah, that was
Yes,
a good one. I saw that one as
that
well.
was great. Yeah, the whole, like living together and,
Sure.
I thought that was really fascinating. I was actually at the World Women's Surf Championship this year, Oceanside. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. I probably am. Biggest apologies.
Yeah. I think I did see one of your videos where you were talking about it because I think you were surfing at the pier or something
Correct.
like that.
Yes.
And then you had mentioned the competition. It's not the women's championship
Okay.
event, it is called the Supergirl Pro.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Supergirl Pro, really
I
great
even have
event.
a picture over my head saying that.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes it even more sillier.
Yeah, so Supergirl Pro, people out there, if you're new to surfing and you're looking for events, women surfing in events in particular, Supergirl Pro is a super awesome event. It is one of my favorite events just because the crowd, the fans are really there in support of the women. And there's people who don't even surf who are just there because they want to support other women in the world. And they're fired up though. I mean, and they're learning about it, they're excited about it. They're cheering they actually found certain surfers that they decided they're cheering on. It's a great event. There's not a whole lot of other, I don't know, drama going on at, like, let's say the U.S. Open at Huntington Beach can get a little wild. But the Supergirl Pro is a really good event. So at that event, were there any particular surfers that you saw there that stuck out to you? Or?
I got to meet Alicia Spencer, so that was, like I said.
Alyssa Spencer?
Alyssa Spencer.
I hope I got it right, because there's so many people out there. And I think,
Sorry!
I know, and I think in your video, you might have said Alicia too, and I was like, hey, wait, what? I had to go check my
Keys?
facts. Yeah, that's what I was thinking actually, was Alicia Keys. I was like,
oh, she's surfing nowadays?
yeah,
Okay,
so, Alyssa, she's ripping, and so any other ones that you saw there too, or was that the one that stuck out to you?
I would just have to say that I was, notified that Bethany Hamilton was there, so excuse me also if I said that name.
No, you got it, yeah.
That's the only one I got right. But no, that was kind of, cool to be, knowing that she was there. I unfortunately didn't get to see her, so.
Right, yeah.
But I knew that she was there, and I think, I have a lot of respect for her and everything like that.
Awesome. So on that note, based on that comedy right there, there's a couple of outlets out there that like to heckle newbies at surfing, and so Kook of the Day, which is one, BeachGrit's another one, and World Surf League, who they're the sanctioning entity for surfing contests and competitions. They kind of have a love-hate relationship with these kind of outlets, and because sometimes these outlets even pick on them, and they're the people knowing things, right? So they even get called out for being kooks.
Okay, great.
What's funny is that there's you mentioned you were from Sacramento, and
correct.
And so these days on social media, hashtagging is a big thing, right? So in some of these heckling posts that come out, in particular BeachGrit, they started a particular hashtag called ValLife. VAL life. All right,
It's coming.
Yeah, so I think definitely we're going to hashtag it ValLife, and that's kind of talking about people who are just maybe either not from the beach surfing, or maybe now are but are newer to the sport.
Yes.
And so they bring a lot of interesting things with them as they're learning the ropes, and surfing's for everyone. I mean, it's for you, and it sounds like you are really determined to take this to the next level.
Very determined. And you know what I have to say about surfing for me? It's been very meditational. So not only from the aspect of being, the sport itself, but just sometimes just being on my board and being, feeling the ocean and being kind of on the same level as the ocean.
Oh man, BeachGrit and Kook of the Day will eat this up.
Please be soft, honey.
Yeah, because they would talk about doing yoga on an SUP and doing these kinds of things. But anyway, that's all good fun. And so the last thing I'm going to ask you about today then is leashes. So do you use leashes, and what do you think about leashes or no leashes?
Okay, so honestly, for me as a beginner surfer, definitely a leash. When I started out, I just felt more comfortable. I felt like that was kind of a security blanket. I have to say, 2 weeks ago, I almost drowned myself on this leash. I've talked to other surfers that have been out there, so your eyes are
On
wide.
the leash, or how? What do you mean?
Well, no, not on the leash, but I was on my surfboard, and there were waves coming over me. I was definitely in a zone I shouldn't have been in.
Were you on the outside, the inside?
Yeah, I was trying to be on the outside, be kind of cool, thought I was there and on that level. And
So you're out in the deep waters, is where this happened?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I tried to get the wave, and there were other waves coming in, and what happened is that I took the board and it twisted me. I came back up, and during that time when I was, underwater, the leash wrapped itself somehow around both of my ankles. So then the other wave was coming over me, and I was just like, don't panic, because I felt like if I panicked, I would have drowned. For some odd reason, don't ask how, I was able to come back up, and instead of taking the leash off, cooking it with Gail, I somehow tried to unwrap it, made it even worse, until somehow I just released myself. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm confused. I don't even know what happened there.
So you're wearing a leash.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's good news for all the rest of us out there. Is Gail's wearing a leash. The idea of the leash is maybe to help you stay with your board, but also it's meant to probably prevent other people from having your board run into them unexpectedly. So. The leash might be the end of Gail, but it might save the rest of us. So,
I love it.
So I think, there's a lot of people now who are not using their leashes, but that's a whole nother story.